Hey, Laura.
Hey, Leslie.
I turned on the thingy.
Did you? The thingy? That's
Mm-hmm.
very descriptive.
Hello.
And welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 558.
Yes.
I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is January the 7th, 2022. Still not used to that.
Nope. We use she, her pronouns.
We do. We're two different individuals, but we both use the same pronouns.
We do.
If you're wondering what's different, I've spent the week plus doing a bunch of work in my craft room, and
including painting.
Yeah, so the
It's
walls
white.
are no longer purple, and even though there's not a lot of room to paint, I mean, it's a big room, but most of it's like the ceiling. It's a sloped ceiling because it's above the garage, so it's what in the South we call a bonus room. But there's a lot of moving stuff around to get to walls to paint. So I don't have a ton of crafting to show this week, but I have a lot of... the room's not done. When it's done, I promise I'll show you. But it's not done yet. It should be in the next week. Here's hoping. But, yeah, most of my free time has been in here organizing. And if you happen to be going to SSK this summer, I have a huge bag of stuff that's perfectly great stuff that I just have no space for or no desire to use anymore, and that will be on the Free to a Good Home table. So
always fun.
Yeah, so technically this show is not about
organization
or home design.
I will say, though, in order to use items, you have to be able to find those items. And so I think I definitely think like collecting crafting things and using crafting things are two separate hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, organization is really important.
Yeah, because I'm not done sorting through all my little things, but I have discovered that I have several duplicates of several things I had no idea I had duplicates of.
Can you give me an example?
I thought I had at maximum 4 size 1 like 32-inch needle. I have at least a dozen.
Oh,
I mean,
but I have a lot of the smaller sock sizes too, mm-hmm. for sure.
There are some like quilting rulers that I bought duplicates of because I had no idea where I'd hidden the other one.
Yeah. You should ask Mom if she wants those first.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of Martelli branded stuff that I got when I got my cutting table that I'm going to ask her if she wants because I'm not going to use it.
Cool.
So.
Well, it sounds like your organization is going really well.
Yeah, and I was actually, normally I hate doing stuff like that, but I will say when I got I have these sets of wire drawers, and when I got those filled with and organized, I felt like a high. Like I felt like, oh my god, I felt so good. Something? I had accomplished something. So
I think that's important.
So yeah, and now I know where things will be, which is also helpful. Now,
yeah,
the yarn and fiber are a whole nother story. They're in bins, but if you told me I need this yarn in the next 5 minutes, there's no guarantee I'll be able to find it. But.
So one thing that I did with the fiber in the garage when 2020 I was stuck at home, I labeled my bins and then did a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
So I could find things.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know of people who use, there's a couple different bits of software apps that people...
Yeah, like Airtable.
Yeah, that people have recommended on our knit nights or fail-alongs. But I just haven't got there yet. So anyway, this is about knitting. Would you like to talk about what you're knitting?
I can.
Okay. You're doing some very complicated stitches over there. I was watching you and I'm like, God, I think she messed with that stitch 4 times before she moved it to the other side.
Yeah, I am doing a lateral braid, which was new to me, and I have ripped out this hat multiple times, and not because of the designer, because I have an inability to read. And also...
also because a stitch that you learned a long time ago, you realized you weren't doing it the way that the designer expected.
That other people do.
Yeah.
So there is that. I knit through the back stitch the back loop on a second stitch different, which I now wonder if it's affected my cable crosses and stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
I know, right?
Probably.
I don't know. It's a mystery. So instead of going like on the second stitch, going through the back,
instead of
from
going
the back,
around to the back, she would go between the first and the second stitch, and then into that back loop.
Yeah, so, which really messed up something, but then I flipped it inside out and it looked fine. Oh, and I lost all those stitches. Hold on a second.
Would you like me to talk about my thing first?
Yes, so why don't you talk about your thing, because every single stitch just came off this needle.
So I haven't done a ton of knitting this week, although I finished something and I'm working on something. So this is my solstice sweater. This is by Tricot Design MCL, Marie Christine Levesque. It's kind of weekender-esque. It's got a 2-color brioche at the top with contrasting shoulders, and then drop sleeves and a ribbed hem. So it's got a little bit of detail, but then just miles and miles of stockinette, which is what I was in the mood for. So I'm using 2 colors of Yin Yang yarn by Loop. This is body and this is sole. Her colors coordinate. So it's 3 plies of 1 color and 1 ply of a 4th, and then in the alternate color it's 3 plies of that alternate color and 1 ply of the other. So the way that you knit this is you knit the back first, and it's just straight 2-color brioche. Then you knit the shoulders and down to the front. It had a crew neck, well, not a crew neck, more like a boat neck, but I didn't want it to be that high on my neck. I prefer a V-neck if possible. So I added some more increases because that's the way that the neck is shaped. You do brioche increases around the neckline. So let me see which side this is. This is the right side. So it says to put the stitches on holders, but because I just organized all my needles, I had lots of size 4 needles, so I just left them all on.
I love doing that.
I just left them all on the needles. So this is what it will look like.
Oh, you've made a lot of progress on that.
This is the shoulder with the contrast color, and this is where the neck, the 2 sides of the neck will join. I'm not quite there. I've got like maybe 12 more rows on this side before I'm at the same length as I am on this
And then there's
one.
a neckband that's picked up, I'm guessing?
I don't know. I haven't read that far. Maybe, probably.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of ribbing around the neck. But yeah, I'm about right here. I've got a couple more increases to go, and then I'll be at the point where I can join the 2 and do the 2-color brioche all the way down to the armpit, at which point I assume I'll join everything in the round. I haven't read that far, because why would you read a pattern? That's only what the designers tell you to do. The little shoulder part detail was done with German short rows, which I'm a huge fan of, because they, especially in garter stitch, they just disappear. You can't see them.
I do like German short rows. I like Japanese short rows too.
Yeah, I like those as well. But yeah, it's a lot of like, I've been watching Taskmaster almost exclusively while I've been knitting, not because I feel like I need to, it's just that's what I've been watching lately.
What is your favorite task out of all the tasks?
I don't know, I'm kind of mean, and I like it when they make Alex do, like, eat disgusting things.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or I like it when the contestants think they've done amazing, and then they show it, and they show, oh, you actually did this thing, you let it touch the ground, or you let it whatever, and then they just completely lose their mind on stage.
Yeah. I do like the one where Alex is in the trash can, and they have to figure out what trash can he's in.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I'm up to season 8. I've watched them all before, but my short-term memory is terrible, and like I genuinely don't remember who won what, so I can rewatch them and enjoy them just as much. They put out a New Year's thing, right? I haven't watched that
Yes,
yet.
they did. I did watch that.
Yeah, no, I figured you would. Um, when Laura and I have been together lately, we've just watched like Frogger.
I do love some Frogger. I'm not even
Or
gonna
that
lie
terrible
about it.
singing show. Well, I mean, I say terrible. The awkward. It's just awkward feeling.
The
Queen of the
Graham Norton.
Universe,
Yeah.
which is a singing competition that is exclusively
We really
drag
haven't
queens.
been together in the last
Yeah.
3 weeks. You've been very busy with your craft room, getting everything.
You
Because it
had
has been 3
family
weeks.
here.
And I was gone for 3 weeks,
Mhm.
or a week. And then I had an unexpected visitor, which prompted a lot of cleaning at my house. Which was good, and I've been organizing as well and getting things. I found some spinning that was very old that we'll talk about later.
And the first week back to school is always insanity.
It's been hell.
Yeah.
It's been really awful, and it's been like snow and ice on top of that. I have been wearing a good bit of hand knits this week.
That's awesome.
So
Do you ever wear that big long red one, ink and?
Yes, I actually wear that quite often.
Okay.
It is Water and Stone.
Oh, I was going to say something in stone. I couldn't remember what it was.
Water and Stone. I wear that. I wore this week. Well, it's hard because my building's at 75.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's 75 in the library, but it's like it was 15 outside the other day.
Yeah.
But I wore my oversized Hohi sweater, the big green one.
Yep. The simple or something, or the Big Easy or
the
something.
Big
like
Easy,
it.
I think. And then I got too hot and I came home for lunch. It was during a work day, and I took it off. I've also been moving a lot of books. I got some new bookshelves, so I've been rearranging the library and then realizing that some of my bookshelves are not the same size as other bookshelves.
Oh, so books won't fit in
Yes,
the same way.
and so or fit at all.
Yeah.
So I have also been weeding a lot and doing some stuff, a lot of movement in the library. All right, I'm almost done with this, but I'll show you guys what this is. This is Clove and Twine Toque out of Surrey Silk. So this is the Surrey Silk from Suburban Stitcher. It's in the Ladybird colorway. I picked this up when she was having her moving sale because she moved into a new house. And it's just so pretty. And then I was trying to combine it with something. And I was going through, I have my fingering weight stash sorted into solids and semi-solids, variegates. And the variegates are by Dyer usually. And then all this is actually by Dyer usually. And then self-striping. And I was going through my solids and found this from a Wool Girl kit from 2008.
It's really pretty.
No dot, like...
No idea who it...
No real idea. It had like a phone number as the tag. Yeah.
Okay.
So Dyer's not in business anymore, but it's just like a light purpley gray.
Yeah, it makes me think of like afternoon tea for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. So I just grabbed this out of the stash. It's held doubled, which was my first error. I didn't read and held it single weight with the Surrey. You don't do that on the ribbing. You do that later on. And it's held doubled throughout the whole thing. It's knit on size, I'm knitting on size 4s and 6s. And I got and did the braid wrong and had to flip it inside out because the braid was on the wrong side. So that braid's a little wonky. But it's going to my grandmother, and I think she'll enjoy it. It'll be nice and warm.
Yeah.
She can wear it while she watches the hummingbirds. And yeah. And it's a good experience, like, doing it. I think when I do this the next time, I'm going to cast on more stitches. And also, because I did the medium size, for me, I would need more stitches, I think. Although I haven't tried it on. Ribbing is super stretchy. But I don't know how this braid stretches.
Yeah.
But I was watching an online tutorial for the braid, which is how I realized I go through my back loops wrong. And she recommended going down a needle size, which is not in the pattern anytime you do the braid. And that keeps this like elongated stitch from forming a little bit better. But it also would make it much tighter. So I didn't do it on this one, but I think I will do it the next time. I'm enjoying it. It's using up stash very quickly.
You should hold it up better so they can see it.
Okay.
It's pretty.
Well, it's hard because it's
Yeah,
on the
the
needle.
colors show much prettier when you hold it up. You'd be so much prettier if you smiled, Laura.
Mm.
That's a microaggression, by the way, and I was being a sarcastic jerk, so don't do that to people.
Yeah. So it is really, really pretty. I put a picture of it on Instagram yesterday. I really like how it's interesting because when I first started knitting it, I was just holding the Surrey alpaca with the fingering weight like 1-to-1, and it's funny how different it looks now that it's 2-to-1. But yeah, it's an enjoyable knit. I learned something new with it, which is amazing. It was on my list of things that I wanted to knit this year. Tiff Nealon is an amazing designer. I really like her stuff.
Yeah, you've been all about Tiff Nealon lately, which isn't a bad thing. Sometimes you just really vibe with a designer's style.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'll definitely be knitting more. Plus, using up old stash, which is wonderful. Totally into that. So that is one of the things on my needles. Another thing, Leslie's dog is crying.
He's so sad.
He is so sad. His life is so terrible.
People are existing and not including him.
The other thing that I'm actively knitting on, I have two things. I'm knitting on some socks out of Knit Spin Farm in the Deepwood Solstice Celebration colorway. I'm just knitting those from the toe up. They are around 1 inch from me starting the gusset. I use Wendy Johnson's toe up sock with gusset pattern. I'm knitting these on size 1 needles. I'm using my Addy squared, which I've rubbed the coating off of completely, which is pretty funny. And just, that's like in my backpack that I carry everywhere with me. I got a little bit of work done on these when I was in a meeting during work on Monday, but not a ton. So those, and that's living in a gnome bag that kind of matches the colors very well from the Fat Squirrel. And the last thing, I am at an impasse on.
Uh-oh.
So, well, I don't have the contrast yarn spun yet.
Oh, okay.
So this is the Out of Winter shawl by Tammy Gore. I got all the way to where the striping is supposed to start, but I haven't spun the stripes yet. I'm going to spin a dark brown Cordale, and I haven't done that yet. I actually went past that point. So my striping sequence is going to be a little bit smaller.
Meh.
But I went past by like 6 stitches or something.
6 stitches or 6 rows?
Well, it's 2 stitches formed every other row, so...
Oh, so you're saying you increased too many?
Yeah, I went too far.
Okay. I thought you meant like you only knit 6 additional stitches, and I was like, can't you just rip 6 stitches out?
I went 6 rows? Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, if you increase 2 every other row.
So, that is there.
Even I can do that math.
Oof, math. Anyway, I'm really enjoying that. I've really got into the flow with it, obviously. And once I spin that Cordale, I will finish it up. I was a little disappointed she doesn't offer her patterns off Ravelry at all. She's just available on Ravelry, but I did link to her Instagram in the show notes. So yeah, and that's out of some Coma C BFL that I spun. Trying to keep one thing on the needles of hand spun pretty regularly.
Sorry if you can hear my dog crying. He's perfectly fine.
He just
wants
sad.
in the room. And as soon as he's in the room, he'll run out of the room. So.
Yep, that is a true story. Because his daddy is not in this room, so...
He just wants to be aware of everything that's happening everywhere all the time.
But only within this 2,500 square feet of the house.
Well, that's a generous number, but yeah.
Did you finish anything?
Sort of.
Okay.
So, I finished the Chance of Showers.
Oh, okay.
But it hasn't been blocked. So, I'll show you guys, but I'll probably put a picture in next week after it's been blocked. Because
it's been finished.
Yeah, it's lace, or it's got lace in it, so it's always going to change a little bit once you...
That's awesome that you finished it, though.
Yeah.
First sweater of the year done.
I was really set on finishing it. Um,
Did you finish it before the new year or after the new year?
no, it was just a couple days ago.
Gotcha.
So this is what it looks like. It's a cropped sweater, and this is out of some Sunday Knits yarn that our friend Shauna sent me because it was something that I had wanted to try but hadn't actually splurged and purchased. So it's a cropped sweater with very simple lace detailing. Well, I say it's simple. The pattern itself is simple, remembering that it's flipped
Offset,
every
yeah.
repeat broke my head somehow, but um, it's got the increases are done in a pretty way. If you look, you can kind of see the lines
Yeah.
where the increases are done. But it's a very organic feeling sweater, and I've worn it around the house for a couple days because it's been really cold. But I get hot real easy, so I can't really do long sleeve sweaters for any extended period of time. But these short ones with a long sleeve shirt are
That's
usually
perfect.
fine.
That
So,
layering piece.
yeah. So I think I might put a tiny button on the inside of each of these little drapey pieces so that
Or you could do jewel closures.
if I wanted, yeah, but those are so big usually.
They have small ones.
So that if I wanted, I could, have it up like that. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do it, but really happy with it. This Sunday Knits is woolen spun yarn, and it's Carol Sunday who runs the company, owns the company, created the yarn. And I think it's milled just for her. I don't think anybody else sells that base. And if you haven't knit a sweater out of woolen spun yarn, I do recommend it because, especially if you're a bigger person, if your body is larger, because typically the yarn that you buy is worsted spun, usually, not always, but usually, and it's a lot heavier when you like if you're a smaller person and you need 3 skeins of fingering weight, say 1,200 yards for a sweater, that's fine, right? That's only 12 ounces, roughly,
Yeah.
of yarn. But when you expand that into the bigger sizes and you need 6 or 7 skeins of yarn, that's over a pound of yarn, pound and a half of yarn.
It can affect the drape.
Yeah, it can really change the way that it feels on your body as well as how it lays and whether it stretches in different places. So with a woolen spun yarn, you lose some of the durability because it's got a lot of air in it, but it's so much lighter. So, it's just good information to have. Also, as I'm looking at the camera, I can see behind me, and this is so white, it's not going to stay that way, I promise. I have all sorts of stuff to put on the walls. It's just not,
right now, it's just not,
and I've got curtains to put up and all that, so I know it looks very bleak right now. I promise it won't stay that way. What about you? Did you finish anything?
I did. I finished some hats.
Ooh.
A baby hat, and then a 4-year-old size hat, 5-year-old size hat.
Is this for baby showers?
Nope.
Just for the bin?
Well, this is for Ollie.
Oh, okay.
So I finished sequin hats. This is the Shirsty Cat Designs, just the worsty in the lusty colorway. And this was the 20 inch size, maybe? No, maybe like an 18-inch size. The third size from the largest. And she actually has a sale going on. Woolly Wormhead does until I think the 14th. And you can find the information about that on her Instagram. But yeah, so that is going to Ollie. And then I had started this one a long time ago and messed up the decreases, so I ripped it back. It is just the newborn size out of some very old hand spun that I held doubled.
This is also Quinn.
And this is also a Quinn hat. And both of these were knit on size 6 needles with 6 DPNs. Like size 6 DPNs, 5 DPNs.
Like, man, you're talented.
So, yeah, we little hat. This will probably go to the baby shower that I'm going to on Wednesday. But maybe not. I'm going to look in the bin and see what I have. It might go in the bin. But it was just to use up some of that yarn. I probably have enough for a second one as well. And I started that over the summer. and then messed up these decreases. I decreased every round instead of
No.
every other round.
Yeah.
And so I ripped them back and fixed them. So that is what I have. And now, do you have any spinning?
I don't, but I did want to say the links for all the stuff that we're talking about are in our show notes.
Yeah.
And our show notes are always on our website, which is TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com.
Absolutely. I found when I was organizing some old fiber optic that I had spun that looked like that. And the second half was sitting there. And I think I spun this back in like 2010. And I had labeled the bobbin, the front of the bobbin, F for front. Because when I put it away, I wanted to make sure if I added more to that bobbin that I would be able to, it's got some nice pigtails still in it, that's hilarious, be able to put it back on the right way, because this is spun on a lendrum, and their bobbins can go either way. But I found the second half, and spun that.
Look at that. The second half's on a woolly winder bobbin, so
it is.
It's more evenly loaded.
And so I am going to ply these. It's going to be a venture. I've had it sitting like a week to see how the twist reactivates. Because this is very dormant twist and this is not very dormant twist. So it will be an experiment.
So one ply has sat for 10 days and one ply has sat for 10 years.
Yep. We're going to see what happens when it hits water. So I will ply those together. And then I also worked on some Cordale.
Wow.
And the Old Pine colorway. This is from Wee Chickadee. I really like her stuff. She's on Etsy. And I have a contrast colorway that I'm spinning now, and I'm going to apply the two of them together. So I'll have 8 ounces at the end of Cordale. So I started this when I was at Mom and Dad's. It was spun on my Starling by Daedalus. And yeah, my Starling 3. I really enjoyed the spin. This is my first time working with Wee Chickadee. I'm in Jillian Marina's Patreon, and people were raving about her during Jillian's Zooms, and I was like, I'll check her out. And so I bought 3 braids, and I've spun 1, and the second one's on the wheel, so that's pretty good. And then the last thing, this has not had its bath because I am waiting for my Maggie Casey class. I have to have 8 different skeins to give to finish. So I wanted to have 1 3-ply, but this is that Into the World Plausible Implausibility. It's 160 yards of a 3-ply. So it is a nice bulky hat type yarn. It'd be a great brioche hat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It's very squishable.
It is. And because the twist isn't set, it's got, you can see how active the twist. It'll lose around 10% of its twist once it gets in that bath. But yeah, I do love a good 3-ply. And this one really sorted out where like 2 of the plies were the same and 1, because I flipped them, is not. So it really, I like the look of that quite a lot. But yeah, that's it for me for spinning.
I have some non-handcraft related stuff. So, I blatantly stole an idea that Laura sent me from Instagram on needle storage and talked about it, and a couple people asked to see it. So I bought Laura one of these as well.
Cool.
So this one is Laura's.
Oh, nice.
It's not full yet. That's why I brought it up, because mine is, and it's really heavy, and I don't have space for it yet. So this is what it is, and I put a link in the show notes.
That'll work well on your shelf, just sitting there.
I'm sure that other stores have versions of this, but this specific one is from Michael's. The
Container Store has them too.
Yeah. This one is from Michael's, and right now it's like $14 or $15. I think the regular price is $40, but with Michael's there's always a coupon or sale. So it's a photo storage box, and it has 16 different little containers in here, and it locks in the front, so that's helpful. And
yes.
These are the double and triple zeros that
thank you.
I have no idea why I even possess. So they're all little individual containers with a little flip top. The flip top is a little bit flimsy, so you just have to not be super rough with it, but
It should fit like the Addie needle packets and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I put all sorts of fixed needles in here. I just curl them around
Yeah.
and wind them through. If you have some way of like securing the cable of a needle.
Jelby has those little things that she sells in different sizes.
And then I made labels on the Cricut.
Oh, cool.
And put US set in here.
Thank you.
So I just put the US size and the millimeter measurement on there. And then I made little tiny ones for the very top of it, so you don't have to open or pull each one out to see what size they are.
Oh, nice.
So I learned that the Cricut sticker paper that's made for inkjets and says that it can do laser jets cannot do our laser jet printers.
Oh.
It got ink friggin' everywhere. It took me like 4 sheets of regular paper to get all the ink off the drum.
Oh, wow.
It was terrible. But anyhow, if anybody wants that Cricut file, I'd be happy to share it. Just let me know in the like YouTube comments or something.
Or just send Leslie an email.
Yeah.
And you don't call me Les at gmail.com.
Or Leslie at TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com. They both go to the same place.
Cool. Thank you for doing that for me. I appreciate it.
And then the other thing was for my drawers that I've got all my stuff in, I wanted to have labels so that I knew what each one held. So I cut things out of cardstock and then laminated them so
Look
that
at you,
they
so
would
fancy.
hold up. I was such a snob about the font. I'm really a snob when it comes to fonts. I don't know why. For a stencil font, all the letters have to be open. So like if you think about an O, it's a complete circle. So if you cut that out of a cardstock, the middle part will fall out, and so it'll look incomplete. So if you're going to cut something out and you want it to still read, like out of cardboard, where you're not going to want to fiddle with the little hole of the O, you have to cut a hole, essentially, and
a little notch. Yeah,
all the letters that are closed. So I had to sort of create my own font to make that happen, because I'm such a snob about fonts. So yeah, I've got little tags for all of my, and I'm gonna just punch a hole in the side and then use string or ribbon or something and string it through so that it attaches
zip
itself.
Ties.
Yeah,
itty bitty zip ties.
Yeah,
friend.
Probably not zip ties.
But I love some zip ties.
I wanted to put eyelets in it, but I don't. I think that the 2 layers of cardstock and the lamination is too thick for eyelets. So, well, I'm gonna do a test and see. But
you should.
I think probably I'll just do regular holes. But yeah, that's that. Plus, this craft room has been pretty much my week.
Did an amazing job with stuff, though. It looks really good.
Thank you.
You're definitely getting it.
Poor dog. He sounds like somebody is like slowly draining him of blood or something. He's just so
He sounds
sad.
like he's in the Princess Bride when they're draining his life.
Turn it up to 100 or 50, whatever it is.
Yeah. Poor Neelix.
Yep.
What have you been reading, friend?
I haven't been reading a ton. Usually by the time bedtime came around, I was too exhausted to worry about it. But I went back and started rereading a different T. Kingfisher story, The Paladin. Paladin stories. It's about the Clockwork Boys, I think. Excuse me. I've sort of been at odds to try to find an audiobook that I liked right now, because I re-listened to the Threshold series over Christmas and realized that I really only like 14 in the Fold. I don't really like Dead Moon or Terminus, which, I guess you can't like every book, but I've downloaded a couple and started them and hated them and returned them from Audible. That's where I typically get my audiobooks. Libro FM is another great place to get them.
I love Libro FM because it supports your local bookstore.
Yeah. But right now I'm listening to Misery by Stephen King. which I've read the book before but never listened
Oh, okay.
listened to the audiobook, so it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Meh. What about
I
you?
started a new young adult adaptation of an adult book, and that it's a nonfiction book, a narrative nonfiction book called Killers of the Flower Moon. It is like true crime. So it is about the Osage Indian population in the 1920s. In the early 1900s, oil was found on the reservation, and they actually became some of the wealthiest people in the United States. And so someone decided to kill them one
Yep.
by one.
I was gonna say couldn't have stayed that way. Either they kicked them off the land or they killed them.
Yep. So it's about that and how that spawned the birth of the FBI.
Oh.
And it's really, really interesting. I don't know much Oklahoma history at all. So it's been really, really interesting to me because even in the 1920s, there's still like a wild, wild west
Oh yeah.
type atmosphere.
Especially
in
when it came to
Oklahoma.
like First Nations, Native American people. Like it's not great. Yeah. Sorry. I don't mean to take over.
Well, yeah, the treatment of the indigenous people is not great. It's really, really terrible, obviously, because they're being murdered, but I didn't realize how many white people were on the reservation because of the oil.
Yeah, I don't think I do
And
either.
that had married into
Oh.
some of the people, like especially the women of the tribe. So it's really, really a good read. There is an audio version of the adult version. This is what I'm currently reading is the young adult version, and I'm only a couple chapters in, but it is a really interesting read and part of history that I didn't know about. So I'm always looking to learn something new. So yeah. I brought my notebook of goals for 2021, which
Ooh.
is hilarious. So we could revisit some of
Oh,
my
okay.
goals.
I was like, but it's 2020. Oh, you're talking about stuff to
Yeah,
see whether
from
or not
last
right.
year.
Okay.
And I don't know
Whip it
whether whip it out. I don't know. I haven't really even looked at it whether I accomplished stuff or not. But last year at the beginning of the year, I was going to gift 12 items, which I'm pretty sure
I'm pretty
I
sure
did.
you hit that. Yeah.
Gift 16 skeins of handspun. I know I did at least 8. I'm not certain I got all the way to 16.
To be fair, you haven't really interacted with other humans a lot this
That's
year.
true.
So.
I was expecting to
Right.
be at like SSK at this point.
Right.
Decrease the stash by 24 skeins. That did not happen. Knit 16 items out of handspun. I'm pretty sure I accomplished that.
Very close if you didn't.
Yeah. Spin 15 pounds of fiber. Pretty sure I accomplished that.
No idea.
Yeah. Finished 3 spinning whips. I definitely did that because I finished that long-term one, right? Like the fiber optic, like that's a long term, and I finished the sweater, the green sweater spin. That was a long term, and I'm sure I did something else, for sure.
What else?
The Nest Advent spin. Washed 3 fleeces. I washed 1. Meh. Prep and spin 1 fleece. I didn't get it all spun, but I did wash, prep, and spin most of a fleece.
And that's a lot more work than you think.
And also, like, I did that, but I also got probably 12 ounces of 2 other fleeces spun.
Yeah.
So, definitely got that. Knit 5 sweaters, did that. Knit 15 pairs of socks. I'm pretty sure I accomplished that. Complete 3 knitting whips. I don't know if I did that. Work on even start. I did not, definitely not do that. Knit a handspun sweater. I totally did that.
You did do that.
And then knit 15 baby knits for box/gifting.
I don't know if it was for box, but you knit at least 15, baby.
I feel like I did.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with everything that I did. I don't know. I got a good bit done.
Yeah.
So, my main goal for this year is to learn new things. I'd like to take 5 classes. I've signed up for 3 already. And one of those is at an in-person event, so I'm hoping that event still happens, which is Fly Away. And I'd also like to take a class at Maryland Sheep and Wool this year
Mm-hmm.
if I get to go to that. So that's my main thing, and just use some of my older fingering weight. Because whoever said that fingering weight doesn't count,
Doesn't have the amount of fingering weight yarn. Yeah.
Yeah, is a liar. So I would like to use some of that. And I have used a good bit of my older stuff up this year. I knit at least a couple socks with like older skeins of yarn. I'm knitting this with an older, a 2008 skein. So, but I'd like to continue that way.
Yeah.
And decrease the fingering weight stash a little bit. We'll see if that happens. But it'd be nice.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Sorry.
Leslie's dog is so sad.
I hope you guys can't hear it because it would annoy the hell out of me if I was watching a podcast. So I'm very sorry if you have to listen to it. I don't really think I have anything else. So I guess we'll talk to you again in a week.
Yep.
All right. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.